Well, everyone, including your listeners, will all have seen the horrific images of starving and emaciated children, which truly it's inhuman and barbaric. And it has led to mass starvation. The blockade that has been in place for 2 months now has led to mass starvation. Now, in recent days, Israel has recognized the severity of the situation and has opened the southern border crossings for United Nations agencies. So ourselves, UNICEF and the WFP can now bring in much more aid, but we still need to be able to bring in aid for weeks on end now to address what is really a starvation crisis.
Okay, and yourselves in Oxfam have said, Peter, haven't you, that Israel is waging a, quote, war on children in Gaza, haven't you?
Yes, well, we've been saying that the willful withholding of humanitarian assistance and food for children, that just cannot be justified under any circumstances. I mean, these are completely innocent children. They have a right to live, they have a right to be fed, they have a right to health and education, and all these rights have been taken away from them, and that's why we have called this a war on children. They're in all of this, and to see children being shot while they're queuing for food is just barbaric and something that all of humanity should be ashamed of.
Okay, and are you and UNICEF, Peter, calling what Israel are doing a genocide?
Well, under the United Nations system, there is an office called the United Nations Human Rights Office, and that is the office which determines these things, and obviously the International Court of Justice. We're a humanitarian organisation. Our job is to bring in food and supplies and things like that. But what I would say, Darren, is that the head of that Human Rights Office at the United Nations only last week said that the willful withholding of access to humanitarian food for a civilian population could actually constitute a war crime. So that's very, very strong language, and we would encourage Israel now to keep these border crossings open for the WFP and UNICEF so that we can flood Gaza with aid. The crying thing, the terrible thing about this is that we have huge amounts of aid on the border. All we need is the border crossings to be open and secure humanitarian corridors to deliver that aid, and obviously a cessation of violence and bombing and shooting while we do that for 10 hours every day. That's really what's needed, but it's needed for for weeks and weeks on end to sort of reverse the mass starvation that has taken hold of Gaza at the moment.
And you're calling for Hamas to release the remaining prisoners as well, yeah?
Absolutely. We have said from day one that the attack on, again, innocent civilians in Israel on the 7th of October, that itself was inhumane, that itself was barbaric and unjustifiable and should never have happened. And we criticised it and condemned it unreservedly from the very first week of the war, and we've consistently called on all hostages to be released as part of a wider ceasefire.